After 7 years of chasing Marcus, and just when he finally agreed to marry me, his idealized first love returned to the country. He said, "You've merely filled her void all these years. Now that she's back and doesn't want a title, you shouldn't be petty and narrow-minded." I remained silent. His friends quickly intervened. What man doesn't have a few lovers outside these days? Marcus only has one idealized first love. You should be grateful. Marcus said coldly, "Can't accept it? Then let's call off the wedding." That was exactly what I was waiting for. "Fine," I replied. Then I turned and left. His friend scoffed behind me, "Damn. She's actually principled and proud. How long do you think it'll be before she comes back begging for reconciliation?" Marcus sneered, "Last time it was 3 days. Now that she's principled and proud, maybe a week." The group burst into laughter. Half a month later, Marcus contacted me for the first time. "Grace," he said, "I've given you enough time to reflect and cool down. Come back when your head is clear." Ethan wrapped an arm around me, snapped a photo of the new marriage certificate in my hand, and sent it. He then said, "Mr. Marcus, only divorce requires a cooling-off period. Marriage certainly doesn't." I had been chasing Marcus for 7 years. After my mother, who was in a vegetative state, passed away, I had long since given up struggling and accepted my fate. Just when he finally agreed to marry me, his idealized first love returned to the country. He specifically organized a party to welcome Isabella back. A friend asked, "You and Isabella have rekindled your old flame. Can accept that?" Marcus scoffed, "She'll come around after a little fuss. For years, I'd been with someone as bland as unseasoned chicken." His friend teased, "No way, Grace looks spunky, with a certain edge to her. I'd really like to conquer her." The man was rubbing his hands, looking utterly lecherous. "By the way," he added, "if she doesn't accept it and you two break up, I'm making my move." Marcus smirked confidently, "Go ahead. If you win her over, I'll give you a sports car as a wedding gift contribution." The group erupted, shouting cheers, and placing bets. "I bet she'll just get angry for 2 days and then talk herself into being fine. I'm hoping she doesn't accept, because I want to pursue her." They made a pact. Whoever managed to win me over would make out with me in the car Marcus gave him. I arrived late from work, overheard their lively conversation right at the entrance, and turned to leave. No one even noticed. With no chains behind me, having already given up resistance and accepted a life with no prospects, I now seemed to see a flicker of hope. Subtly, there was an exhilaration of having a heavy burden lifted. After that day, Marcus took Isabella to parties everywhere, indirectly making their relationship public. He lavished her with villas, luxury cars, and jewelry and diamonds as if they cost nothing. Everyone congratulated him on achieving his wish and winning back his beauty. Such news traveled fast, even Mrs. Eleanor knew. I didn't offer any thoughts, nor did I continue choosing a wedding dress. Marcus hosted another gathering and, in front of many friends, directly told me, "You've merely filled her void all these years. Now that she's back and doesn't want a title, you shouldn't be petty and narrow-minded." I met his gaze in silence. The room fell quiet, the atmosphere tense. His friends quickly intervened. What man doesn't have a few lovers outside these days? Marcus only has one idealized first love. You should be grateful. Marcus said coldly, "Can't accept it? Then let's break off the engagement." That was exactly what I was waiting for. "Fine," I replied. He seemed unprepared for my quick agreement, caught completely off guard. Marcus shot up, eyes wide, and demanded, "Are you sure?" "Grace, I'll give you another chance." I cut him off, stating firmly again, "I can not accept you having anyone else besides me. I choose to break off the engagement." Marcus's anger instantly subsided, replaced by a subtle sense of satisfaction. He frowned slightly, as if suppressing a smirk, wearing an expression that said, "I knew you were just acting out." He said magnanimously, "I know you're hot-headed right now. Take a few days to reflect and cool down, and then come back to me." I replied, "I'm serious. Let's break off the engagement and part ways amicably." Marcus shrugged nonchalantly, "Whatever you want. Let's break it off then." I offered a polite smile. "I have something to do, so I'll be leaving now." His friend scoffed behind me, "Damn. She's actually principled and proud." After all, they were engaged. She had to stand her ground. She even said she couldn't accept anyone else besides her, haha. "How long do you think it'll be before she comes back begging for reconciliation?" Marcus sneered, "Last time it was 3 days. Now that she's principled and proud, maybe a week." "Right, she chased you like crazy for 3 years in high school. You hooked up with an older student, then you broke up with her, and 3 days later she came crawling back begging for reconciliation." I quickly walked away, hot tears rolling down my face, an uncontrollable smile curving my lips. 7 years, and finally, the day of its end had come. I sent the recording to Mrs. Eleanor. This time, she said nothing, tacitly accepting my departure. I returned all the engagement gifts and presents from those years to Mrs. Eleanor. I also returned part of the medical expenses and promised to repay the remaining amount in installments. Like a beast, fully revived and finally escaping its cage, I felt a profound sense of relief. Despite a slight unease about the future, I was firm in my choice. Aside from everything that wasn't mine, in those 7 years, all I had were a stack of certificates, my phone, and my ID, as well as the house my mother left behind. That evening, I grabbed my phone and went out, heading to the bar, which my best friend owned. My best friend put an arm around me as we entered, settling into a booth at the front, looking like a madam from an ancient brothel. We've got a new batch of male models in. Their looks and bodies are absolutely divine. Our major shareholder will definitely be pleased. I said, don't do anything illegal. We're surrounded by college students. My best friend chuckled, don't worry. They're here to sing and dance, and we're here to enjoy their good looks and amazing physiques. During college, my best friend had insisted on starting a bar, but her family disagreed and refused to invest. At that time, my mother's medical expenses were regularly paid by Mrs. Eleanor, so I didn't need to intervene. I had saved some money, felt desperate about my life being dictated, and harbored a private intention, so I simply gave all the money to her. I didn't participate in management, only offered advice. The bar was next to our university, and half the staff were students working part-time. Over the years, the bar's business had steadily improved, and the dividends I received grew larger and larger. I also opened a coffee shop called the Cafe next to the bar. But in the year after graduation, I had constantly been around Mrs. Eleanor and Marcus, only occasionally visiting the shop to relax. My best friend snapped her fingers and told the bartender, a metamorphosis, please. Don't say I never do anything for you, sis. I've invited a few young gentlemen to drink with us tonight. Their character and capability put that dog Marcus to shame. I laughed and pushed her away. Just settle down. The young gentlemen were all former classmates. Without our previous connection, I wouldn't even have been qualified to meet them. But after they sat down, another person arrived. With long strides and a cold expression, he exuded a sharp aura as he took a seat opposite me. I picked up my drink, happened to look up, and froze. My best friend also seemed stunned. Is that Ethan? One of the young gentlemen said, yes, he just flew in yesterday. He has a collaborative project with my family, and he's already had several back-to-back meetings. Since you called me, I brought him along to relax. Ethan glanced at me, then looked away, his demeanor extremely cold. As they chatted, my best friend pulled me closer and whispered, I'm 1000% sure this is all for you. I took a sip of the cocktail, Metamorphosis. It was sharp on the tongue, then burned going down my throat. Ignoring my pounding heart, I gave a bitter smile. If it really is for me, it must be for revenge. My best friend ordered another, the idealized first love, cocktail. I looked up at Ethan, but he showed no reaction, occasionally sipping warm water. Maybe he no longer cared. No one would dwell on their foolish past. The topic of the idealized first love came up for discussion. Another shyly asked me, Grace, can I add you on WeChat? The pressure in the room suddenly dropped, and a chill ran down my neck, as if I were in a cold storage room. I forced myself to hand him my phone so he could scan the QR code. It felt as if ice followed my hand. I was inexplicably nervous and lowered my head to drink the first. It was slightly tart at first, then a mellow sweetness spread through my mouth, leaving a warming hint of vodka. My best friend leaned in and whispered in my ear, the way he's looking at you, it's like he wants to devour you. I sipped my drink. Never mind. My best friend said, don't be like that. The scrawny kid he once was has turned into a stoic version of Zhang. You should take advantage before you decide. Marcus is going back to his old ways, you're reclaiming your idealized first love. You deserve the best. Should I slip him something to knock him out? I burst into laughter, and several people turned to look at me. My best friend immediately quieted down, SCA. Ning the room awkwardly. Haha, Grace is drunk. I'll call a taxi to send her home. I wasn't drunk, just felt light and a little floaty. Ethan's cold face swayed in the halo of light, like a moon floating on water. I only heard his deep, cold voice say, I'll take her. I was scooped up, then carried bridal style. My mind was clear, but my emotions were amplified. Ethan placed me in the passenger seat, buckled my seatbelt, and as he was about to close the door, I couldn't resist grabbing his hand. I looked steadily at him. Are you single now? Do you still like me? My eyes suddenly burned. Never mind. Why stir up these calm waters again? I said, thank you for the ride. Ethan closed the car door but didn't get in, standing outside to smoke. He held the cigarette between his thumb and forefinger, slowly exhaling smoke. Yet he gazed at me, his eyes as deep as a cold abyss, as if he wanted to devour me whole. Just like my best friend said, his eyes looked like they wanted to eat me alive. The alcohol was kicking in, my throat felt like a thorn was stuck in it, neither swallowed nor pulled out. I wasn't willing to let go. Something was hammering in my chest, like a spring bud, suppressed for 10 years, suddenly breaking through the soil, determined to push upward despite the pain. My heartbeat thrummed in my eardrums. Ethan took only a few drags before stubbing out the cigarette on a trash can and getting back into the car. Gathering my courage, I asked him, Ethan, can I pursue you? Ethan's hand on the steering wheel twitched, and his eyes held an emotion I couldn't decipher. He reached out, his palm brushing against my neck, then he cupped my chin, his index finger tracing the line of my lips. A flicker of expectation crossed his eyes, but he asked fiercely, are you trying to trick me again? Ethan's eyes reddened, just as they had all those years ago when I rejected him. Alcohol had indeed given me courage. I had been rash and presumptuous. I'm sorry, MMPH. He suddenly kissed me, clumsy yet searing. His palm slid down again, trembling as it stroked my neck. I felt weak and a wave of sleepiness washed over me. When I woke up, it took me a few seconds to register where I was. But no one was beside the bed. As I prepared to get up, I realized I was naked under the covers. My body felt no discomfort, nor the lingering misery of a hangover. Before falling asleep, all I remembered was him pressing me down and kissing me. Just then, Ethan walked in, wearing a black shirt with an air of effortless sophistication. He looked refined, aloof, and utterly restrained. He held a glass of water. After I drank the water, I asked him, where are my clothes? He said matter-of-factly, threw them away. No, logically, they should have been taken to be washed. Before I could ask my next question, he asked me, do you have your ID? My handbag was right there on the nightstand, and yes, it was inside. I replied, yes. He said, find something to wear first, then come down for breakfast. After he left and closed the door, I went to his closet and found it full of shirts and suits. I put on one of his shirts, which barely covered my backside. It was too embarrassing. I went into the bathroom. The person staring back at me from the mirror was simply dreadful. There was a faint ring of tooth marks on my cheek, and my neck was covered in hickeys of varying shades. Just 2 cocktails, and I was completely out of it? After years apart, Ethan had become a pervert. I took a shower, which must have taken a while, as I vaguely heard Ethan calling me from outside the door. Thinking it was my imagination, I was startled when Ethan suddenly burst into the bathroom. And just like that, I stood completely uncovered, face to face with him. He suddenly gasped, then, blushing, feigned calmness. For a moment, I didn't know what to cover. 2 seconds later, my indignant voice echoed in the bathroom, Ethan, you're a pervert. I didn't wear a shirt, instead. Slipping into his bathrobe. It was loose, but it covered me completely. At the dining table, he ate his breakfast as if I weren't even there. He ignored my furious gaze. It was like punching a pillow. I had no choice but to sit down and eat breakfast. After we finished eating, someone brought in a selection of white dresses of various styles, along with brand new cosmetics. I chose an off-the-shoulder style. I deliberately exposed his crimes, curious to see how calm he would remain. Ethan stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, one hand in his pocket, the other holding his phone to his ear. This man was becoming increasingly charismatic. Still possessing a youthful charm, he had also reached full maturity. When he turned to look at me, his black shirt moved with his physique, his back as sharp as a blade. The moment our eyes met, he said, put on some light makeup. We're getting ready to go out. The tooth marks on my face were faint, easily covered by light makeup. The hickeys on my neck varied in depth, and since I didn't know where we were going, I just applied a thick layer of foundation to cover them. Before leaving, he confirmed with me repeatedly, did you bring your ID? I nodded affirmatively. Until we arrived at the county's office. I looked at him in astonishment, my heart pounding, and asked, are you sure? Ethan's expression was indifferent as he calmly countered, do you dare? After we received our marriage certificate, I hadn't even gotten a good look at it before Ethan mercilessly confiscated it. His tone softened imperceptibly. I'll be away on a business trip for a week starting this afternoon, handing over all my previous international business dealings. Delete the WeChat contacts you added last night. I was still a bit dazed. Oh. He lowered his gaze to me. Where are you going? I'll drop you off. To corner, my coffee shop. Back in the car, I was still in a daze. When we arrived, he didn't let me get out. This time, his palm cupped the back of my neck. He kissed me, sucking with an undeniable force that made my tongue go numb. I got out of the car as if fleeing, only daring to look back once I was inside the shop. Ethan didn't leave immediately, still maintaining his aloof and distinguished demeanor. He met my gaze with intense eyes. My heart pounded like a drum, and I tried my best to suppress the agitation. Ethan drove away. I suddenly realized I didn't have any of his contact information. I got married to the idealized first love, but didn't have the idealized first love's contact information. I hadn't deleted the WeChat contacts of the young gentleman from last night, so I asked one of them for Ethan's WeChat. On the first day of our marriage, I sent him a WeChat friend request. That afternoon, my best friend burst into the shop, more excited than if she'd found money or dated an international male model. So, what happened? Did you two rekindle your old flame last night? Was it explosive passion? I smiled, my cheeks feeling warm. No, but we kissed. My best friend narrowed her eyes. I don't believe it. From my clinical experience, with the way he was looking at you last night, it couldn't have ended without an all-nighter. If it wasn't an explosive night, why haven't you even replied to my WeChat? I pulled out my phone. I haven't looked closely. Opening it, I saw my best friend had sent several messages. I heard Ethan came back to mess with the Ching family. He isn't coming for you, is he? No reply? Has a night of passion begun? I looked up at her. There's no need for that, especially since we got our marriage certificate today. My best friend scratched her head, lost in thought. Marriage certificate. That sounds familiar. Then she suddenly shrieked, damn, you got married? You mean, after not seeing each other for years, one night of intimacy and you got married? I nodded. Even now, it didn't feel real. My best friend tooted in admiration. Ethan has been peening for you for years, and now he seized the opportunity to finally make it official. She pestered me to see the marriage certificate, and I awkwardly explained everything again. My best friend gave me a thumbs up. That evening, I changed into my bar uniform and was overseeing the place with my best friend. After finished with Isabella at the hotel, he sat by the floor-to-ceiling window, smoking. This past week had undoubtedly been the most exhilarating. His idealized first love, once unattainable, had actively pursued him. He had indulged freely in pleasures, entwining himself with his lover without restraint. His desires were released, and his mind and body should have been immensely satisfied. Yet, he always felt an emptiness inside, as if something was still unfulfilled. He smoked, growing more irritated the more he thought about it, feeling that nothing was going his way. His phone was in his hand, flipping and tapping the tabletop. Suddenly, a new message popped up in the group chat. A friend tagged him, Marcus, your wife is actually working as a waitress at the bar. A 10-second video was attached. Grace was wearing a black uniform, which accentuated her slender waist, giving her a distinctive, capable beauty. She was smiling brightly, saying something to the front. She was smiling. She actually smiled. So, she'd rather stoop to selling smiles in a bar than humble herself? The group began to jeer. What do you say, Marcus? If your wife is so resolute and won't come back, can we pursue her? I want to too. Marcus sent a voice message directly, angrily saying, do whatever you want. He watched the video repeatedly, his face growing darker with each viewing. His sycophantic friend started suggesting terrible ideas again. Marcus, your birthday is next week. How about we go to the bar tonight to support your wife? He gritted his teeth and typed, no one is allowed to go. Absolutely no one. She's being provocative, going to sell smiles. I'll see how long she keeps this up. After sending the message, he stood up and threw his phone down. Grace was truly becoming more principled and proud. A whole week, and no calls, no messages. In this circle, what man doesn't keep women on the side? Only she acts so pure. I gave her a title, and she still put on airs. Marcus's face was as cold as a Russian winter. This time, even if she came begging for reconciliation, he wouldn't be soft-hearted and easily agree to get back together. I planned to expand the coffee shop. After finishing the business plan, I made myself a cup of coffee. When I turned around, I saw Ethan, dressed in a suit, sitting by the window. The evening glow slanted across his handsome brow, softening his cold demeanor. That week, our WeChat exchanges had been nothing more than polite and distant greetings. At this moment, I even felt a bit of the fear of approaching home. Ethan suddenly looked up, his deep, dark eyes reflecting the glow of the sunset. I walked over with the coffee, handed it to him, and sat down opposite him. I looked at the man opposite me, my most familiar stranger, my husband. It was awkward and uncomfortable. Before I could even think of any polite small talk, Ethan said, "What time can we leave?" He naturally picked up the coffee and drank, his Adam's apple bobbing. His hands were truly beautiful, with long, slender fingers, prominent knuckles, and flushed skin. In novels, such beautiful hands, when two fingers were brought together, I couldn't help but swallow. Ethan pushed the coffee back to me, tapping the table with two fingers pressed together. I quickly snapped back to reality, hastily replying, "Oh, any time." I pretended to be busy, picking up my coffee and taking a sip. It felt like he caught me every time I did something wrong. He said, "There's a family dinner at 8. What time would you like to leave?" A family dinner. I instantly felt nervous. He said, "It's nothing, just dinner, then we'll discuss the wedding date." After finishing the coffee, we returned to Skyview to change. Skyview was his villa, and as he instructed, I had gradually moved my clothes over. Back at Skyview, I was stunned. The walk-in closet now had several racks of evening gowns suitable for various formal occasions. On one side, matching jewelry and diamonds, emeralds, and other precious gemstones were neatly arranged. I realized I still hadn't really understood Ethan's family background. My affection back then was pure, based simply on looks. Ethan was on the phone. As he passed me, he naturally lifted my chin and kissed me. I changed into a long dress and put on a pair of pearl earrings. It was formal and understated without being overly flashy. Ethan was still on the phone, so I took my laptop to the study to discuss a collaboration with the coffee supplier. His study was enormous, featuring a grand antique bookshelf with a collection of books comparable to half a library. After sending the contract to the supplier, I thought about finding a few books to read. I don't know what I touched, but the bookshelf actually slid open on both sides, revealing an elevator door. Startled, I turned to see Ethan behind me. Ethan walked over, a look of recklessly giving up on his face, and said hoarsely, "Do you dare to come down with me and see?" When I came to my senses, we were already in the elevator. The elevator door opened again, lights flickered on, revealing a vast space ahead with pink walls and a pink bed. I was stunned. I gripped his hand tightly, my palms sweating. "I'm scared." Ethan gave a bitter smile. "This is my darkest thought during my most desperate times. I desperately wanted to destroy the Ching family and keep you locked by my side, but I was also afraid of truly hurting you." He turned his head, his gaze deep and fixed on me. "Fortunately, you're willing now." I stood on tiptoes, wrapping my arms around his neck, and choked out, "I'm sorry." He held me tightly, his voice hoarse. "You don't need to be. I just need you back." Ethan kissed me, with such force and passion. I felt like I was drowning in his kiss, so I pushed him away, gasping for breath. "Don't we have a family dinner?" They drove into an estate and into the opulent living room. One by one, familiar faces appeared, all prominent figures seen on television. The family, a whole clan of political and business power players. I also saw the former young scion of the Hayes family. He had long lost his arrogant demeanor from back then. Ethan sensed my apprehension and gently reassured me, "Don't be afraid. He only has the family name, nothing more." I later learned that Ethan was an illegitimate child, and his mother had died from complications during childbirth. In such circles, it was common for illegitimate children to be despised and oppressed. But it was different when someone had your back. From high school, Ethan had garnered the attention and recognition of old Hayes. During college, he took over the mess of the Hayes family's hotel group, which had been losing money for years. He not only increased its market value but also transformed it into an international luxury hotel brand. He was also appointed as the new head of the conglomerate. The elders were reserved yet warm and approachable. They had likely done a background check on me and didn't inquire about my family. They only asked about my plans before and after marriage. When we left, I received a generous cash gift. Back at Skyview, financial news outlets reported on the volatility of the Ching family's stock. I remembered Chloe saying Ethan was going after the Ching family. Ethan, wearing pajamas, returned to the room from the study. I asked, "Ethan, are you manipulating the Ching family stock?" He didn't deny it, asking instead, "Are you going to plead for him?" Mrs. Eleanor had covered all my mother's medical expenses for years. Although there were conditions, I had desperately needed the money at the time. I wasn't a saint. The entanglement was too complex. I said with difficulty, "Mrs. Eleanor helped me a lot." Ethan pulled me into his arms, trapping me, and kissed me without a word. His arms tightened around me, as if he feared I would disappear. As I responded, his hands began to explore my body, stroking me inch by inch downward. Then exploring. I clutched his clothes, letting out a frustrated gasp. His voice was terrifyingly deep as he wickedly asked, "Are my hands beautiful? Do you like them? Good girl, it's my turn." I was flustered and cried from shame. I felt like he was so skilled. Just a feeling, because he quickly, Still lost in desire, I looked at him blankly. Oh. It turned out we were both novices. Ethan seemed to have misunderstood my "oh." He bit my face lightly in annoyance. Afterwards, we became more skilled, more immersed, and the sessions lasted longer and longer. It ended in the early morning, and I didn't wake up until the afternoon. Then I noticed a ring on my ring finger. Before's birthday, they celebrated at an exclusive club, waiting until exactly midnight to wish him a happy birthday. He hadn't brought a female companion or Isabella today. It was meant to give Grace a chance to back down. Everyone was playing games, downing drinks, or interacting with their female companions, creating a lively atmosphere. Marcus drank in silence, constantly refreshing his phone. It was almost midnight. Grace was as silent as the grave, with no sign of activity. Leo, who was good at navigating social circles and reading people, said fawningly, "Your wife must be on her way. I sent her the club's address." Everyone seemed to realize, and they chimed in, "That's right, she sends her wishes exactly on time every year, along with a cake and a gift. Marcus is always number one in her heart." Marcus's expression was terrifyingly dark, and he sneered, "On her way? She hasn't shown her face for half a month. You can all pursue her now." The friends exchanged awkward glances, saying, "No way, we were just joking. Grace is our sister-in-law. You don't go after a friend's partner." Leo pulled out his phone and said, "There are 10 minutes left. Maybe she got lost. I'll ask." Marcus gripped his phone, saying nothing. The private room was quiet, and the phone's ringtone was exceptionally clear. It rang again and again, but no one answered. Someone nervously chuckled, "She wouldn't still be working at the bar, would she? Waitresses have night shifts, you know. Maybe she's waiting for Marcus's call?" Marcus wore an arrogant expression, remaining silent and still. He had a look that said, "Keep calling until she answers tonight." After an unknown number of rings, the call finally connected. "Grace, Leo? What's up?" Leo finally let out a breath and said, "Grace, it's Marcus's birthday today. Are you stuck in traffic?" Grace, "No. We're not together anymore, so I'm not going." "Oh, tell him happy for me." Leo grew anxious. "No, don't." The call was decisively ended. The atmosphere in the private room turned frigid, like deep winter. Leo felt like dying. Why was navigating this social circle so difficult? Marcus had the calm before a storm about him. She wasn't on her way? "Marcus, maybe your wife wants you to call her. Girls, you know, they all like to be appeased a little." Marcus's facial muscles twitched, and his voice was slightly tremulous. Impossible. He wouldn't call. It wasn't that he absolutely needed her to humble herself and admit she was wrong. He just wanted Grace to accept that in their circle, it was normal for men to have several female companions for social events. Marcus knew Grace wouldn't truly leave him. She had chased him for 3 years in high school. In his sophomore year, he cheated on her with an older student. Once, he forgot to buy condoms and sent her to get some and bring them to his place. Grace, hot-headed at the time, resolutely broke up with him. But 3 days later, she saw me crawling back begging for reconciliation. She simply couldn't leave him. I hung up the phone and turned around to see Ethan, wearing pajamas. His gaze was sharp and cold, and his lowered hand stretched its fingers as he asked darkly, "Are you going out?" I picked up the cake on the marble coffee table, preparing to put it in the fridge. "Yeah, I'm going to the bar later." His body tensed. He walked over, grabbed my wrist, and sneered, trying to conceal his overflowing panic, "Don't lie. We're already married." His grip tightened, but his tone was a mix of panic and humility. "If he comes back, are you going to divorce me? You always choose him." I finally realized he was misunderstanding, and I quickly explained, "No, He spoke with a self-destructive frenzy, "I'd rather die than divorce you. Let's just torment each other for the rest of our lives." My heart ached. 3 years of rejection, 4 years of waiting. He was convinced I loved Marcus and had lost hope in me. I hugged him, nuzzling his face. "Chloe sent the cake to congratulate us." Chloe's exact words were, "Congratulations to our Grace, finally finding happiness." Ethan trapped my waist, his arms tightening around me. I turned my head, kissed his cheek, and said, "I won't agree to a divorce either." I wanted to put the cake in the fridge. I'm going to the bar to handle a fight. I've been dealing with the bar's public relations for years. Ethan picked me up bridal style and headed towards the bedroom upstairs. I'll have my assistant handle it. He contacted his assistant, and I sent a message to Chloe. No sooner had I sent the message than he pinned me down, holding my wrists above my head with one hand. Ethan was fiercely intense and angry. His kisses were consuming, powerful. He bit my cheeks, neck, and collarbone without order, his hand fumbling over my body. I wanted to soothe him, but I found no opening, only endured. I said, I do like you. It's always been you I've liked. Ethan's body trembled slightly. He then roughly and directly stripped off my clothes. Amidst his hurried breaths, he gave a self-deprecating laugh. No need. Our entanglement in bed was passion laced with resentment, a frenzy born of lost reason. A surging tide of desire, we sank into emotions intertwined with love and hate. I deeply felt his insecurity, his fear. But he no longer believed me. What should I do? I woke up that afternoon, my body feeling as if it had fallen apart, my eyes and lips swollen red. Ethan had already gone to work. How could he stay up all night and not be tired? How could he be in such good shape? I was covered in hickeys, with tooth marks on my cheeks, neck, and collarbone. Why did he love to bite so much? It wasn't suitable for me to go out today, so I could only work from home. The coffee supplier was finalized, and everything else could begin. After sorting everything out, I pondered how to address Ethan's extreme lack of security. I looked again at the bookshelf ahead of me. After a moment's hesitation, I opened it again and took the elevator down. A massive, enclosed space, bright as day, with freely circulating air and none of the stuffiness of a basement. A magnificent pink castle. Walking up to a bookshelf, I was surprised to find high school textbooks and stacks of test papers. I then picked up a book and opened it. It was inscribed, Jocelyn. My face burned. Hesitantly, I opened one book after another. They were all my old high school textbooks that I had sold. My eyes gradually welled up with tears. Moving forward, I found my old water bottle, a broken hair tie, an old photo album, a photo of me in 8th grade at a sports meet, accepting a third-place award on stage. In the bottom right corner of the photo, there was a thumbprint. When I turned the page, I found words on the back of the photo, "In this barren land, you are my last rose." A bitter ache spread, seizing my throat. The next photo was a picture of us together, finally, graduation. We'll start dating on the first day of school. After that were all photos of me during high school, on campus, on the sports field, in the cafeteria, in the classroom. She doesn't want to date me anymore. She's chasing someone else. I'm consumed by jealousy. I want to kill him. She doesn't seem to smile anymore. Why is she still so sad after rejecting me? Next was a photo from a high school coming-of-age ceremony. I was holding a bouquet of black roses, 18-year-old Grace, holding my roses. This bouquet of roses was actually his. I thought Marcus had left it on my desk. I wiped away my falling tears and continued reading. Why isn't she happy after getting the person she liked? You're always so sad. Why don't you come back to me? Can you, like me? I couldn't bear to watch any longer and fled back to the study. Curled up on the sofa, I clutched my aching chest. I felt completely drained, unable to move. Before long, Ethan appeared in the study, his expression fearful, as if his darkest secrets had been discovered, or perhaps he feared my disgust and my desire to escape him. You saw everything. A dull, throbbing pain spread through my heart, and I tearfully whispered, I'm sorry. Truly, I'm so sorry. Ethan held me tightly, his helplessness laced with tension. Don't say you're sorry. Don't cry. Don't leave me, don't force me. I can't take it. He had misunderstood me again. I had no choice but to wrap my arms around his neck and silence him with a kiss. His lips were thin and soft. Even in junior high, I'd wanted to touch those lips that never smiled. Back then, I only managed to kiss his cheek. Once we had both calmed down, I explained everything. Ethan, filled with self-reproach and sympathy, said, I'm sorry. I kissed him softly, smiling. It's all in the past. We both had our difficulties back then. I'm not to be pitied, and you shouldn't blame yourself. We're doing wonderfully now, the best present, the best us. Then cupped my face, wiping away my tears with his thumbs. You said you like me. Feigning seriousness, I playfully punched his chest. You never said it. But my heart pounded like a drum, and the joy I had once hidden deep inside felt like my own newfound freedom. I think I can finally say it openly, I love you. We said it in unison. It was like returning to our junior high unspoken understanding, with the same flutter of developed feelings for each other. With the barrier gone, Ethan couldn't resist being playful. He looked at me, dead serious, and said, "You need some ointment there." He actually had a tube of cream with him and started applying it right there on the sofa. I struggled, kicking his face. "You pervert." Marcus didn't go out to celebrate his birthday, he was throwing a tantrum at home. Grace hadn't chosen a wedding date, she had actually returned the engagement gifts and years of presents. Her father had even disowned her. There was simply no reason left to make her back down. He unleashed his fury at home, leaving the living room a complete mess. He hadn't actually intended to keep anyone as a mistress, it was just a fling. From childhood until now, he had only ever acknowledged her as his girlfriend. He had indeed developed feelings for her in high school. Marcus enjoyed her pursuit, she was bolder and more passionate than other girls. No matter how many times he rejected her, she still liked him. He had even been happy the day he finally agreed to date her. Grace was so romantic. On his 18th birthday, when he was ignored by his deadbeat father and career-driven mother, she bought him a cake just for him, hoping to make him happy. She would peel shrimp and cut crab legs for him at dinner. She patiently tutored him in English. He never passed his advanced English exam, but she always encouraged him gently. When they first started dating, she would still smile. Her smile was infectious, anyone who saw it couldn't help but crack a smile themselves. She was also very studious. Apart from classes, she was either in the library or on her way there. That's why in his sophomore year, he cheated on her with a senior student he often played late-night games with. The night Grace broke up with him, he was terrified. He never expected her to return 3 days later, begging for reconciliation. This was at an age when his pride was sky high, yet she was willing to do so much for him. He had never experienced such love. So, he committed to her wholeheartedly, respecting all her wishes, including no premarital sex. But after that incident, she never smiled again. Still, men had needs. He had suppressed his. Then she proposed, and they finally got engaged. He brought up the idea of moving in together again, but was still rejected. Just then, Isabella returned to the country, and he impulsively flaunted his idealized first love. But his mind was still full of Grace. After a careful recollection, Marcus realized he had always been living in her love. He didn't mind humbling himself to coax her once. She would surely come back obediently, and perhaps, feeling his affection, she would agree to move in together sooner. Marcus's blood was boiling. He eagerly dialed her phone. The moment the call connected, Marcus was incredibly excited. Grace was obviously waiting for him to coax her. But after connecting, no one answered. Anger flared, but the words that came out were, "Grace, I gave you enough time to reflect and cool down. Now, come back." Just as he regretted his impulsiveness, he heard a man's voice from the phone, "Mr. Marcus, a cooling-off period is for divorce, but marriage doesn't need one." The first half of the sentence ended with a light, teasing lilt, a hint of a smile, while the second half rose in tone, carrying warmth. But the mere sound of a man's voice sent a chill run down Marcus's spine. If had cheated on him, he would kill her. Marcus gritted his teeth and demanded, "Who are you?" Grace's voice replied, "He's my husband. Contacting me this late, is your mother's business truly urgent?" Marcus's heart jolted. He clenched his phone, seemingly suppressing something, and lowered his voice, coaxing, "Where are you? I'll come pick you up. We can pick out a wedding dress and look at venues together." Grace's tone was calm, stating, "Marcus, I really am married. If your mother didn't have something urgent, I would have hung up." Marcus's veins bulged on his forehead, and his eyes turned bloodshot as he roared, "Grace." The other party hung up. Beep, beep, beep. Marcus stood in the living room, staring blankly, utterly bewildered. Grace, who was so traditional and conservative, who trembled even when holding hands or kissing during their relationship, how could she have married a stranger in just 2 weeks? She must still be angry, so she just picked some guy at a bar to trick him. Marcus was convinced Grace was truly upset this time. Since girls always needed coaxing, he needed to think carefully about how to win her back. A moment later, his phone rang. His heart leaped to his throat, as if his theory was about to be confirmed. Grace had a soft heart and was calling back to accept his apology. Seeing it was Leo, he felt a pang of disappointment and answered impatiently. Leo's voice was tense. "Marcus, have you seen sister-in-law's social media post?" Marcus's Adam's apple bobbed up and down, his voice panicked. "What social media post?" Leo said, It's sister-in-law. Sister-in-law posted a photo of her marriage certificate on her social media. He quickly added, it might not be real, a lot of photos can be photoshopped these days. Marcus hung up the phone and frantically tapped open Grace's social media. A photo of 2 marriage certificates crossed, clearly showing the holders, Grace, Ethan. Accompanied by the caption, "It's us." Marcus flung his phone, his chest heaving violently. He kicked over the 60-kilogram solid wood coffee table next to him. Then he picked up an item nearby and smashed it against the glass curio cabinet. The glass shattered, and all the precious items on the cabinet fell to the floor, becoming worthless. Ethan finally decided to bring out the marriage certificate he had been hiding. We lay on the bed, his arm around me, as we spread out the certificates to take a photo, ready to post it on social media. Just then, Marcus's call came in. After a few words, Ethan smugly hung up, then casually blocked and deleted Marcus's contact. He then posted the edited caption and shared a passionate kiss with me. Finally, he held me close and we slept soundly. I had always thought that a high and mighty rich young master like Marcus, who had been pampered and adored his whole life, would, with his idealized first love by his side, act even more unrestrained and carefree, free from any worries. I hadn't planned on any drastic breakup, especially since we were still in this city. But the very next day, my apartment management called me, saying Marcus had come looking for me. I told them to inform him not to contact me again. Unexpectedly, that evening, Marcus showed up at the bar to find me. Chloe wouldn't help Marcus contact me. Leo sent me a video of him causing a scene at a hotel. Sister-in-law, Marcus truly loves you. You should come quickly. Ethan was busy with the transfer of power within the Hayes family. The family was planning to publicly announce his identity, and he was working late every night. I wanted to resolve this mess and give him a sense of security before he came home. When I arrived at the bar, there were no customers. Chloe and the staff were confronting Marcus and his group. They looked like a gang-like standoff. Chloe, like a protective mother hen, stood in front of me. Grace, you shouldn't have come. He wouldn't dare do anything to me. Marcus saw me, and his anger was mixed with wild joy. Can we talk? I said, we've already part ways amicably, and I'm married. What is there to talk about? He was uncharacteristically focused and deeply affectionate as he pleaded, stop making a scene, I know that photo is photoshopped. I shouldn't have been indecisive. I've decided to change and live a good life with you from now on. Come here, I'll take you home. Chloe blocked me, afraid I would be swayed by him. I showed him the ring on my hand. I don't need to Photoshop a marriage certificate just to post it on social media. I once truly accepted him and wanted to build a good life with him, but he cheated on me almost immediately. The moment he made me beg, the compromising Grace died. I only came back to life when he agreed to part ways amicably. Now, I just want to pursue the career I love and be with the person I love. Marcus's face turned deathly pale, blending into the bright lights. He lowered his head, chuckled helplessly twice, then laughed deeply again. Grace, you must have been tricked? You pursued me in high school and stayed by my side through college. You haven't met many people and don't know the dangers of the outside world. People who come to bars aren't good people. He just thinks you're pretty and wants to get you into bed. Someone like him is much more of a player than I am, you wouldn't be able to handle it. No one cherishes something they get too easily. Grace, you're always so naive. I don't mind that you betrayed me, and I don't mind that you've been played and are no longer perfect. Ugh, he was the truly naive one, still unwilling to accept reality, deceiving himself. I glanced at the broken items around us and interrupted him. Mr. Marcus, whether you mind or not doesn't matter to me. However, for the damages you've caused here tonight, please compensate Chloe at market price. I need to go home quickly. My husband will be very worried if he doesn't find me there. Taking a step back, I bumped into a warm embrace. He whispered softly, wife. It was Ethan. How did he get here? Marcus suddenly grew agitated and tried to charge forward, roaring, it's you tricked Grace. His furious shout held a hint of grievance. His friends behind him desperately held him back. Mr. Marcus, calm down. Ethan held my hand tightly. I didn't trick her. I developed feelings for her in junior high and have always admired her. She's very happy by my side. She has always been perfect and can remain innocent forever. You were the one who didn't cherish her, who didn't care enough. You're not worthy of my Grace. Marcus was completely enraged, a hysterical frenzy in his eyes. Like her? She's so beautiful, you just want to sleep with her, don't you? Ask this group behind me, who doesn't want to sleep with her? If it weren't for my protection these past few years, she would have been devoured until there was nothing left. You're just a petty opportunist, snatching another man's woman and then sanctimoniously talking about liking her. Haven't you had enough? Ethan delivered a hard kick. Marcus, already prone to fits of rage, had gone too far with his unfiltered words, and his friends behind him stopped holding him back, stepping aside. He couldn't beat Ethan, so he was simply getting beaten. I wasn't so much sad as I was astonished by his shamelessness. Perhaps all women were like this in his eyes. Or perhaps I had followed him for too long, to the point where he inherently disdained me. Chloe wanted to cheer, but dared not be too loud. Seeing that the fight was winding down, I said, "Alright, the Changs only have one heir. Don't actually kill him." Marcus gasped, "I won't let you get away with this." "Grace, you saw it. He was the one who hit me." I reached for Ethan to check him. "Are you hurt anywhere?" Ethan said, "My whole body aches." Marcus, unable to bear it, yelled in fury, "Grace, I'm the one who's hurt, me. You stopped liking me in just half a month? You used to put medicine on my wounds." I instructed Chloe, "Call an ambulance." Chloe enthusiastically replied, "Got it." I no longer needed to consider our past connection and said cruelly, "I don't like you, and I never did. You don't like me either, you're just unwilling to accept it." Marcus froze for a moment. "You don't like me? You didn't like me, but you still pursued me? Was it because my mom gave you money?" He mused, then let out a sad, bitter laugh. So, not accepting premarital sex was a lie. Saving herself for him was the truth. Grace said, "No, it was a matter of my personal principles. All these years, I truly wanted to build a life with you. I willingly proposed to you. It was you who chose a different way of life from mine, which is why we part ways amicably, and why I got the chance to choose my own life." Marcus was unwilling. She had once been willing, she was almost his. How had it come to this? He had always believed she loved him, but now he realized he was the joke. He was the one who had developed feelings for her. He was the one who wore down her patience. And he was still the one who couldn't let go. It was all gone, his reason for being so sure was gone. Marcus was roughly escorted away by his friends. The rights and wrongs between us were intertwined in those 3 years of high school and 4 years of college. Neither of us was perfect, both of us had moral flaws. No one can judge anyone else. The silence finally drew to a close tonight. Ethan and I held a grand wedding at the end of the year, receiving blessings from everyone. After the wedding, we returned to the most ordinary of lives. Like all young couples, we went on dates, watched movies, and shopped at the mall. Ethan was truly terrified by those years. No matter how much I tried to prove my love for him, he remained insecure. We even talked about what he would have done if Marcus and I had gotten married that year. He said, "If he treated you very well, and you were happy and content every day, then I would never have returned to the country." Perhaps he would have met a woman he developed feelings for one day. Perhaps he would have lived his life alone. Perhaps. Ethan tightened his arms around me, resting his chin on my head, his breath warm. After a long time, so long I thought he had fallen asleep, I heard his low voice mixed with his heartbeat. "Grace. Don't get lost again." He took my hand, intertwining our fingers, gripping so tightly it felt like he wanted to embed himself into my very bones. "This time, I won't let go, even if it means death." Outside the window, the city lights stretched into a sea of stars. The rose that had survived in barren land now had a gardener to protect its thorns. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.